This is John for the Everyday Fan Sports. Today I have the pleasure of being on the beat with a baseball idol of mine, Ron Blomberg. How are you, sir?
John, it's great to be able to talk to you. And before we got on, we talked a little bit about baseball when I was in Chicago in 1978, and you're in the stands. I hit that home run against the Boston Red Sox, and it was unfortunately my career sort of started ending a little bit because my shoulder was bad and my knees were bad. And but Bill Veeck took a chance on me, him and Roland Heeman, two of the finest baseball people in the game of baseball.
Well, that was an exciting time. I remember being in the stands. I remember I was so excited. I followed your career with the Yankees. I had all the baseball cards. And then to see you in a White Sox uniform was just so cool. And then the opening day home run, like that was about as cool as it got for a young baseball fan like me at the time.
Well, it was great. I was very lucky in my life, John, that I signed with the Yankees in 1967. I was the number one draft pick in 67. And the draft, I don't know how many years it's been, but they got the draft on Sunday. And but it was a big thrill for me to be able to wear the Yankee pinstripes. I did something what I wanted to do. I played up in New York. Other than the White Sox, I felt like, playing in New York was just incredible. The fans were just incredible to me. The people in the South Side of Chicago and Comiskey Park was great to me. So I was very, very lucky. Unfortunately, I had quite a few injuries in my career, but that was part of the game of sports. And like I said, I did something what I wanted to do. I wore the Yankee pinstripes. But there's one thing I did not do, and I was glad of it. I didn't have to wear the shorts in Chicago.
Well, aside from Mr. Veeck, I don't think anybody really liked those shorts. I think they wore them for 3 games, but memory seems to be like they wore them half the season. I think it was only about 3 games, but they were awful.
Yeah, no, they were. It reminded me like Sunday softball.
Yep.
And but I'm glad I didn't wear it with so many scars in my left knee, and I just I'm glad I didn't have to put the shorts on. But wearing the Chicago White Sox and playing in Comiskey Park and playing in one of the oldest ballparks at that particular time, and it was a thrill for me to be in Chicago. But it was another great thrill to play with the New York Yankees.
Well, let's take you back. You have one of the amazing achievements in all of sports. You were the first DH. You were the first DH to get on base, the first DH to get a hit. How did that feel for you? Did you realize the impact it would have at the time?
No, not really. I thought the DH was a gimmick. It transpired in 1972. All the owners, the American League owners, adapted the DH. Unfortunately, the National Leagues did not. I thought it was a big joke, to be honest with you. I tell everybody I screwed up the game of baseball, but this was the 50th year of the DH, John, and whoever thought that the DH was going to be in existence for 50 years. And I thought it's going to last like 6 months. I thought, the first year, of course, they're not going to have it any longer. But it's been 50 years this year that the DH has impacted the game of baseball. At that particular time, in April 6, 1973, whoever thought that one at bat was going to change the game of baseball totally.
Amazing.
It became a new era in the game of baseball. It was a new era of the game of sports. But, like I tell people, 50% of the people love it, 50% of the people hate it. But I love it. And now I could be able to talk to people like yourself. And I got in the game, and they can never take me out of the game anymore.
No, absolutely. And your bat and your uniform are in the Hall of Fame because of that.
Yes, it is. And I go to Cooperstown quite a bit. I take a lot of friends, take a lot of people that if I'm doing an engagement, doing stuff up in Cooperstown, they always just so nice to me and the people up at the hall. And it's a wonderful, wonderful, beautiful, beautiful place
Yeah.
to go to. And if I would always tell people, if you've never been to Cooperstown, if you want to see a quaint little town that is absolutely gorgeous, surrounded by the Finger Lakes up there,
Yeah.
you need to go to Cooperstown.
It's beautiful. It truly is. Did you collect baseball cards when you were a kid? And how did you feel when you saw your first you on your first baseball card?
Well, John, it was really, really funny. When we collected baseball cards, we put them in bicycle spikes and make the sound.
Sure.
And to this day, I hate to say how many Mickey Mantles that I had that probably sold for $2-3 million. But whoever thought that the baseball cards that you put in the spokes were to be worth this much? And I think people bought these cards not just for the baseball cards, for the bubble gum.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, they bought the bubble gum, and that's what I did. But I mean, I was not a collector. I did buy baseball cards. I could see the baseball cards, 50 years ago that I did purchase. I don't know where they are, of course. Like 98% of the people, the parents threw them away, and
Sure.
they come up to you when you're doing a card show, and they said, I had this card, I had this card, I had Mickey Mantle's card, I had Ted Williams card, I had Joe DiMaggio card. But it's nice to hear how the game of baseball has changed, and how the game of the baseball cards really changed, because they're worth a lot of money now.
Oh, yeah. Well, do you have a favorite one that you appeared on? Do you have a favorite card of yours?
Yeah, probably worth $2. I mean, it's no, you know what? No, not really. I got a new card that's going to be coming out this year because of the 50th year.
Cool.
Topps, I signed a contract with Topps to be on their baseball card. I have not got them yet, but I will be getting them and probably be signing them and sending them back to Topps by the end of the season.
Well, that's exciting. Of course, I love your Yankees cards, but of course, my favorite card of yours was the first one with the White Sox, just because this Yankee star is on my team, and I was so excited to get that card.
What? It's I mean, but you look at you had Oscar Gamble there, you had Bucky Dent, of course. You have quite a few guys went to the Yankees, and a lot of guys from the Yankees went to Chicago. And you had Walt No Neck Williams. You have these guys that played in Chicago. There's a lot of great ball players. It's a lot of history, just not come out of Wrigley Field, out of the Cubbies, but out of the Chicago White Sox. There's some great ball players that came out of Chicago, and some great teams that come out of Chicago.
Well, one of the players, one of your teammates that holds a special place for you, and you came out with a book. Tell us a little bit about Thurman Munson. What are your thoughts on him? What are your thoughts on the Hall of Fame? Tell us about your book with him.
Well, Thurman was probably, I signed in 1967, and Thurman signed out of Kent State in 68. And of course, he was older because he signed out of college, I signed out of high school. But when we met down in spring training in 1968, when he first signed, they brought him to spring training, and I signed in 67. They brought me to spring training also. And I was a little kid, and he was a little bit older, of course. And we just hit it off. He loved to do what I did. We used to fish all the time. We used to go to restaurants all the time. We just love things. And, you got a guy from the South, you got a Jewish ball player from Atlanta, Georgia, and you had basically a blue collar guy coming from in the Chicago area, in Canton, Ohio, and and you have two guys that came from different backgrounds, but they became great friends. And Thurman was my roommate for almost 5 years up in the big leagues.
Wow.
We did things together. He was a true leader on the team. He was a true captain, and him and Diane, who was his wife, were so close of friends. When he came up to New York, and the next year I came up to New York, and we started to do things together. And it was just it was just a relationship that it was like two brothers that found each other. They were like they came from different parents, but they're like brothers.
Wow.
And we did so many things together. And he was such a tough cookie, and he was such a great baseball man. He was a great leader. He was a great family man. We did a lot of stuff during the off season. We would go to hospital. We would go visit kids, and when you go into a children like the Shriners, you go in there, laughing and make the kids feel great, and you come out crying. Right. And he was very softy when it came to that, but he was a great baseball man. He was just a superhuman being.
So I think I probably know the answer to this, but in your opinion, Hall of Famer?
Oh, absolutely. I'm doing everything I possibly can. I wrote my book, The Captain and Me. It came out in 2021.
Great book, by the way.
It became #1 for almost about 8 weeks for Amazon and for the baseball sites. And even to this day, it's in the top 100. The Wall Street Journal came out with it. Triumph Books out of Chicago published the book. I just spoke to them probably maybe 3, 4, 5 months ago, and they said it's still doing extremely well. And the book was great because it wasn't just a baseball book; it was a human interest book, and it was a book about two people that this guy should be in the Hall of Fame for what he did for the game of baseball. And unfortunately, a lot of the writers would say they didn't have enough time up in, he had 10 years.
Yeah.
And, he was better than, a lot of the catchers that got in the last few years. And I'm not taking anything away from him.
No,
but
agreed.
Being a leader of the Bronx Zoo in New York and, playing in New York, it takes a certain person to do it. And he should be in the Hall of Fame.
I totally agree. And I totally agree on all points. I have your book. I love your book. I think Thurman, arguably, no debate. He's one of the top 3 catchers of the 70s, at least, in my opinion. But now you've got something else. You've got something else baseball related, travel related. You've got a baseball cruise coming up, which I read the list. Greg Nettles, Mickey Rivers, Cecil Fielder, Chris Chambliss, El Duque, Jeff Nelson. I mean, the list goes on and on. Yourself, obviously. Tell everybody about the Legend of Baseball cruise.
The cruise is coming out. It's sailing December the 9th. And I think we are going to Key West. We're leaving out of Fort Lauderdale, out of Key. This is really the first baseball Yankee cruise that has been out. It's going to go on Celebrity. It's a brand new ship. It's 2 years old. It's a big ship, but not like the monster ships. Like, I think it has like 2,500 people rather than the 5,000 people. Sure. But this is going to be a big baseball cruise because the cruise is selling out. It's doing extremely well. Michael Kay, of course, who is on Yes Network. He's coming on the cruise. He'll be doing a lot of different activity on it. It's a major. It's going to be so much fun. We're going to have a baseball game. This is fun. We're down in Cozumel. I think they found a field that we're going to go. They got like it's an island that they have that is just for the celebrity cruise people.
Wow.
And we're going to have a baseball game. The players like us going to be playing against the attendants
Oh,
of
man.
who is coming down. And we got bats, we got balls, and we're going to play a baseball game against these guys. And it's going to be great. If you can't play baseball, you might be a coach. You'll be involved somehow. Even if you have to be in the stands, but it's going to be a really, they got a stadium for us. I don't know what the stadium looks like, to be honest with you. It's not going to be like, going to, new White Sox Park or it's not going to be like Yankee Stadium, but they're going to have fans there and they're going to have umpire. I mean, it's really going to be a game, maybe for 3-4 innings. And It's going to be great. It's going to, you know what? We're taking people back into their fantasy. We got to play our fantasy. Now we're giving back to the people to come on the cruise. We're gonna have a Q&A on the boat. We're gonna be eating. We're gonna be telling stories. Like we all go to Yankee Fantasy Camp, and a lot of people that have been going to Yankee Fantasy Camp or coming on this cruise. But now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be telling stories that we can't tell in the Yankee Fantasy Camp. We're going to be telling because we're out to sea, and and we could tell stories, and it's going to be fun. We're going to tell the Mickey Rivers stories. We're going to tell about the Goose Gossage story, about all the fights that the Bronx Zoo had. It's going to be great. We're going to mingle. We're going to be signing autographs. We're going to be doing different things. We're going to be eating lunch with them. We're going to be eating breakfast with them. We're going to be, it's what? We're doing something and giving back to the fans like it's going to be, the fans are the real true heroes. We did something, we did our fantasy to give back to the fans and to, if you're a Chris Chambliss fan, if you're a Mickey Rivers fan, if a Cecil Fielder fan, if you're Jeff Nelson or Greg Nettle or mine or Michael Kay, we're going to be with these people. And they're so, the Chicago White Sox, the fans, anybody could go on. It's a baseball cruise, not just a Yankee cruise. It's a baseball cruise that's going to be, first rate of any sports cruise that has ever been out there.
Well, it's like we were talking before we started recording. We were talking about it and saying, you would ask me about my baseball fandom. Yes, I'm a Chicago fan. I love the Cubs and Sox. I was never a huge Yankees fan, only because you guys were always winning and crushing my teams. But I always respected the Yankees. But above all else, I love baseball. I'll go to a Yankees game. I love going to Yankees games. So this cruise to me just sounds like something so original. I've never heard of anything. As far as I know, this is the first baseball cruise like this ever.
Oh, it is. I mean, it's Rob Steinfeld is running it through Expedia. Michelle is running it through Caribbean Celebrity. The ship is absolutely, I've seen the ship. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous. I mean, the food, I told them to bring a lot of lobsters and crabs and stone crabs, and they're going to be steaks. I mean, it's going to be I know you've been probably on a lot of cruises, and I've been on a couple and a lot of nice cruises, but this is going to be over the top, and it's not that expensive. What you're giving, and people would say to me, well, why is it in December? Because the number one, we can do it. It's not going to be any hurricane season. People are giving these for Christmas presents. This is, you could buy presents and you could buy presents anytime. But are you going to be able to do this anytime? Absolutely not. It's something for the wives, the kids, the husbands, that if you love baseball, if you love to listen to really the game of sports and what we go through and what life is about on and off the field and all the stories that's in the locker room, really to find out about what really happened with the Bronx Zoo. We could tell. We can't tell it, in a lot of places, but we could tell it out there because we are in no man's land and nobody can arrest us. So it's going to be a wonderful, it's a great opportunity. It's a great present, and it's going to be, everybody's looking forward to it. It's going to be fun.
Well, it's the perfect time. It doesn't interfere with the baseball season. It's the middle of winter, so people are looking to get out. In the summertime, people have plans. They got things to do with the kids, whatever. This is the perfect time. You're starting in Fort Lauderdale, Key West, Belize, Cozumel, Grand Cayman. I mean, these are fantastic places. And then to couple it with the characters and the baseball legends that are on this cruise, this sounds amazing to me.
We are characters. And,
there's no doubt about that.
And you know what? And the good part about it is when we're talking to fans, and the fans that I've been talking to, and the fans, what I do is anybody that signs up, I call them up, welcome them aboard. I'll answer as many questions as I possibly can. I said, I'm out there, and we're going to have a baseball game, and we're going to beat y'all. And I get these guys, and it's funny, Johnny. I get these guys said, no, we're going to beat you. I say, are you going to beat us because y'all better us, or are you going to beat us because we're 70 or 80 years old? But it's going to be fun for them. And I was very lucky to play with great managers. I was very lucky to play in probably the two greatest cities, Chicago and New York. And and they're the baseball fans like galore. And and we're getting people from like Washington State, we're getting people from Oregon, California, because they're baseball fans, and they could see what like Jeff Nelson when he pitched for Seattle.
Sure.
And then he came to New York, and then he was dominating, and these guys, but the guys that we got are characters. And the guys,
no doubt.
The guys that we got are going to tell you the way it is. I mean, it's going to be fun. And then these guys are going to go back, and they're going to go home. You said, I didn't believe that the Bronx Zoo, what these guys really did, that, Mickey Rivers slid in the second base, and George Steinbrenner gave him $5,000 to play in a game that he was feeling good. And then all of a sudden, Mickey Rivers, would cash his check and held $5,000 in his back pockets, and he slid into second base because Thurman Munson got a base hit, and the money fell out of his pocket, and he stopped it before he got to second base, picking up his money. And Thurman had no idea what to do, and everybody on the bench was going crazy. And nobody ever saw any of this stuff. Nobody ever saw, you go into different places, and unfortunately we did this, but we did it. We might have water balloons, and we get on the second and third floor in Milwaukee, and we have an off day, and we drop it on people we didn't like and stuff. We did all that stuff. I mean, it was, people, they're gonna see what we did, and they're gonna have a great time, and they're gonna just die laughing at it, and they're gonna say, "You really did that?" Yeah, we really did that.
Well, I encourage everyone to check it out. You can get more information at legendsofbaseballcruise.com. You can look it up there. I've been on the site, very intense. She tells you everything. All the information you need is on legendsofbaseballcruise.com. Check it out, everybody. I strongly encourage, if you're a baseball fan, or if you're a fan of just travel, this sounds like an amazing cruise. Mr. Blomberg, very much. Thank you very much.
No, call me Ron. And also what we're doing, we're giving a free cruise. We give a free cruise you need to contact the website, and they'll tell you about the free cruise. And you can register for that, and maybe you can win it. But hey, I'm just telling you, on a bucket list, you're not going to have, this is not going to happen every single year. This is something that you really need to do. And if you cannot play, it doesn't make a bit of difference. You be a fan. But if you can play, make sure you bring your baseball glove. We could sign it for you, and you could catch a few ground balls and pop-ups, and you might get a base hit off of one of our guys.
I wouldn't count on getting the base hit, but I count on having a lot of fun on the trip. Ron, it's really been a pleasure. I thank you for your time. I thank you for a lot of great memories following your career. I thank you for the opening day home run. That was one of the coolest moments of my Sox fandom. I encourage everyone to check out legendsofbaseballcruise.com, and I hope you have a great day, sir.
John, thank you again. And thank you for the people that you associate with, and anything we can do for you. And like I said before, answer that, go to the website, register for the free cruise if you are lucky enough, because the seats, the cabins are almost sold out. We do have some, and it's going to be a full ship, and it's going to be an unbelievable time, and it might be a great Hanukkah and a Christmas present for people.
I couldn't agree more. Ron, thank you very much for your time, my friend.
John, thank you again. Anytime you need me, please don't hesitate to call. Fans, looking forward to seeing you.
Thanks.
Thank you.